You're listening to the Mahogany Says Show with your host, Mahogany Silverring, on Blog Talk Radio, mahoganysilverring.net. As a Miami nightclub owner, Paolo DeLuca takes to heart the code, a life for a life. He also has a personal code, don't screw the help. However, it's getting more difficult for him to keep his eye off of his sexy bartender, Lyric Mason. He has no time for love, not with a rival gang muscling in on his counterfeit business. And when hell breaks loose, heads will roll. Lyric's grandfather warned her to stay away from the DeLucas. However, needing to pay for art school, Lyric does what she must do. But when she sees counterfeit bills filtering through the club, it brings her up close and personal with Paolo DeLuca. Time stands still, and Lyric is ready to throw away everything her grandfather warned her about the DeLucas. Paolo DeLuca, part of the Savage Bloodline series by Tamika Brown. Available on Amazon. Get your copy today. Nadine is the owner of a successful bookstore in a college town. It's complicated is the best way to describe Nadine and the rumors about her being a witch. 25 years is a long time for a rumor to fester and grow. She can't control the rumor, but given half a chance, she can control you. Every year, she seems to take a new lover from the college. Tyler is a college senior who let his curiosity get the better of him. Determined to find out if Nadine is truly a witch, he applies for a job at her bookstore. He becomes her new lover, and Nadine stirs something in him. He's experiencing things he never knew he was curious about. However, Nadine's past has come back to haunt her as ex-lovers suddenly reappear. Can she continue to have her fling with Tyler and control her past? The Bewitching Bookstore by Scarlett Thomas Wolfe. Available for pre-orders on Amazon, releasing on October 28th. Order your copy today. With the death of her vampire mate, Dominique Leroy, the hybrid vampire queen of New Orleans, must choose a new mate. Will it be the best friend, Asmodeus, the vampire who craves her power? Azazel, the human wizard with firepower? Or Jason, her were-leopard guardian. With her ties to the magical and shifter communities, she becomes a threat to the Vampire Blood Council. They give her an ultimatum. Turn the human wizard into a vampire or die a traitor's death. Will she choose love or loyalty? The Grand Dame of Bourbon Street by Mahogany Silverring. Available on Amazon in both Kindle and paperback. Get your copy today. Thank you and good evening for tuning in to the Mahogany Says Show. I am your host, Mahogany Silverring, and we've got a great show for you tonight. We will be meeting a new author. Well, he's not really new, but he's new to me, and we've been friends on Facebook for a little bit here, but I want you to welcome Anthony Pathfinder. Anthony?
Hi. Thanks for the invite, and thanks for having me.
Yes. Thank you for coming on the show. So tell us a little bit about yourself so that we can get to know you.
Okay, well, originally I was born in Kingston, Jamaica. I came to the States as a child. Grew up on the East Coast, specifically in New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and so on and so forth. I just always had a love for writing, and I just stuck with it, and after college, I just decided, well, maybe I should give this a try, because I've always written poetry and short stories ever since I was a child. I don't know if you're familiar with books such as Nancy Drew, The Hardy Boys.
Oh, yes. I grew up with those.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Well, those books I read like every day growing up. So this was something that was just in me. And again, like I said, as I got older, I realized that this is something that I love to do. And I just started taking it much more seriously. And here I am 12 books later.
Nice. Well, you've answered a few of my questions already I was going to ask you. But that's awesome.
You can still ask.
I can still ask.
Yeah, you can still ask. For sure. Yeah.
So tell us about your first published book. What was that journey like?
Okay, my first published book, this was something else because at first it was called Ghetto Temptation. And I got signed. It was basically street lit. And it was during the time when there was everyone was like, the whole street lit stuff was saturated with all these books and all these authors coming out. And I got signed actually to a 2-book deal. And from a traditional publishing house. Yeah, I did. Nice. And yeah, at that point I thought this was it. I'm in the big leagues. Little did I know that there was more to it than this. So what happened was I realized that I started learning a lot more about the business, and they came with an idea and asked me if I wanted to, well, it wasn't such a great idea. They wanted me to do like a 3-book deal, and they were actually taking away a lot of my rights. And,
oh, goodness.
Yeah, they were. They changed a lot of the stuff that I had written. And as you know, as a writer, when you sit down and you start writing, you get emotionally attached to the storyline. Yes, you get so attached with your characters and things like that. So what they were doing, they were changing some of that emotion that I put into these characters. And I didn't like that, so they re-signed. Once that was done, I left them alone. I was so naive at the time still while I was learning. I still tried to use their cover because I changed the title from Ghetto Temptation to Fair Game.
Okay.
And I used it, right, that's what I did. And they contacted me and told me, no, I cannot use the cover. And so I had to get rid of it.
Oh, no.
They actually, yes, they did. Because I did it without them knowing about it, basically. And I guess they saw it. And they contacted me and told me that they own the rights to it.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's true.
Yes. And so I got rid of it. So Fair Game, I just did it on my own and changed the cover and everything else. And that was my first novel, and it's still one of my favorites. Yeah. It went on from there, yeah. And there's also a sequel to it as well.
Okay. Now, did they publish the sequel, or did you go with another publisher?
No, I started doing everything by myself after that.
Okay. So you went the indie author route.
Yeah.
Isn't it kind of better?
Yeah,
I think it's kind of better because you have control over your work, and you can put out your story, your emotions that you put into your story.
Yes.
And
yes. Excuse me. And also, it allows you to learn a lot about the business.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
You do.
It allows you that. Yeah. Because I had my printer was in Florida, and that's where I used to get my books printed. Yeah. So I had to do everything myself. I had to contact Barnes and Noble. It wasn't easy. It was not.
No, I mentioned not. No.
Yeah, it was not. But you know what? I'm glad I did it that way because now, I know a lot about the business, so to speak.
right?
Yes.
Trial and error. You learn different things.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, that's it. Yes. Those are the words. Yes.
So, do you have any advice for someone who is trying to publish their first book?
Yeah. It's like threefold. Simply meaning, if you're trying to publish your first book, do your research. If you're trying to do it independently, do your research. Make sure that you find someone who is great at editing, and don't be fooled by those folks who will tell you, well, it's great to find a English professor or someone who majored in English. No, it's not. No. You find someone who has a command of the English language. If you don't have the money to get a professional editor, find someone who has a command of the English language. And that person doesn't necessarily have to be an English major or an English professor.
That is true.
That is number one. Number two, make sure your work is polished. Yeah. I mean, your family and friends may say it's a great book. They may read a manuscript and say, well, it's not. No. Get another opinion.
Yes. Like beta readers.
Take it else. Yes. Take it elsewhere. Let other folks who aren't going to tell you, well, it's great. No. Get these opinions, and also make sure that you always keep your rights. Make sure your copyright is yours. Make sure that you get your work copyrighted. Yes. And here's another thing that I learned. When I first started, there were a lot of people who will tell you that to get your stuff copyrighted, it costs like $300, $400, $500.
Mm-hmm.
They will actually share this with you and tell you this. What I found out was that you can take 3 or 4 of your titles and put it under a title like My Works and pay $35 for those titles. So for someone who's doing this for the first time, they need to know these things. Do not let these folks try to take advantage of you by telling you to get your material copyrighted. It's $300, $400. No. If you have 3 manuscripts, right. If you have 3 manuscripts that's there for you, put it under one umbrella, like My Works, and you pay that one fee. Secondly, if you're dealing with a traditional publishing house, make sure that you get someone who knows a lot more than yourself, because the wording in some of these contracts, you have to be familiar with the language that's there. You
almost need an attorney just to look it over so they can tell you exactly, do I keep my rights? That should be your first question.
You might need a thesaurus next to you, but it's best if you find someone who knows a lot more and go from there. Also, just believe in your work, believe in yourself, and just go for it. And this is for someone who's a first-time author who wants to get his or her works published. Just take your time and go about it, and just be mindful of the fact that there are people out there that, will take advantage if you're not careful.
Yes, they will. But they can see you coming a mile away. I've had
like they smell you
over the years. Yes, I've been doing this a long time, so I agree with you.
So, based on those things, it's just for that person who's just starting out to get familiar with folks who are like-minded, because the saying, not all skin folk or kinfolk, is very true. from what I've seen, especially in this business. Yeah.
Yeah, people
they
can
would
be
take
a little
advantage of you like
closed and take advantage of you that way too.
Yeah.
It's hard to find people that you can trust. But I've actually found a great group of authors that we look out for each other. And, if I need help with something, they're willing to help, or I have questions, or other ones have questions that I can answer, then I answer it. So we kind of, lift each other up, promote other people's books so that, it doesn't cost me anything. So why wouldn't I? I don't have a library full of the same author. I have a library full of books from all different authors, all different genres.
Correct.
So, there is room for everybody. There's no competition.
Yes. And what I found interesting is that a lot of authors tend to sometimes pigeonhole themselves because for me, when I first started out, I thought, well, you know what? I grew up in the hood. Yeah, I grew up in the hood. I saw a lot of things. Yeah. So street lit for me was something that I thought was, this is the direction that I should go in. But as I started to write more and more and I started to grow, I was like, no, it's not. It's like, no, it's not. No, there are other avenues where I found myself just writing nonstop, where versus the street lit, I was just on the straight line, just going straight on this line. And I was like, no, this genre, that genre, the creativeness just started to grow. And I was like, yeah, I can do this in more than one genre. Yeah, that's what I've been doing. Yeah.
Now, do you have different pen names for different genres, or is it just your same pen name?
Well, I've also written one title under my actual name. My first name is Carl with a K. Okay, it's Carl Anthony. Okay. I decided to use, so 11 of my titles are under Anthony Pathfinder, which is my middle name. Anthony is my middle name. So Pathfinder at the time, it's a Native American word meaning finding oneself.
I was going to ask you about that, so thank you for clearing that up.
It means finding oneself. It's a Native American word. And at the time, I was going through a lot, finding myself, so to speak. So, I thought it was appropriate. I thought it was right. I thought it was cool. So I stuck with it. However, the one title that is under Carl Anthony, it is called New Blood. It's called New Blood. And it's a vampire story.
Oh, nice.
Yes,
I
and
love
the vampire
paranormal.
is black.
Yes. I see that.
Yes. So, my main character, he's black. He's a black vampire. Okay. And this is before Interview with the Vampire, the television series that's on now, where we see this black vampire. Right. My story was written before that. Right. So there's this black vampire. So it's a love story / and it takes place during slavery. Yeah, so basically, really quick, I'll just share this with you. He just went out, my main character just went out to get some water from like a cistern. If most folks don't know what a cistern is, cistern, it's an outdoor pipe, right? And he went to get the water, and back then, slaves weren't allowed to go out at night.
That's right.
Right. And he gets confronted by his master, and they get into it. But at the same time, while he's going back and forth with his master, because he was just fed up because of how he was being treated, everything, his eventual maker would arrive on the scene, and the master, seeing this strange-looking man, took off and left him. And that's how he became a vampire.
Nice.
And after he got bit, all this wailing and crying was going on in what I call the big house, because that's where the house slaves, they were basically working in the big house, right? And then you had the field slaves sleeping in the huts and stuff like that. And all this chaos was going on. He had a family, but he left his family. And the story goes on and on and on. I won't say, but yeah, it's a good story. And so that's the only one. It's under Carl Anthony.
Carl Anthony. Oh, I'll have to look that one up.
Yeah.
New Blood.
Yeah, New Blood, yeah.
See, so if you like the paranormal, check out this book.
Yeah.
So it's under Carl Anthony. I love vampires books, so that's why I'm like, yes.
Me too. Me too.
That's one of my favorite characters to do.
Yes, I love all that stuff. I've watched all these series on television about vampires. I've watched them all. Yeah.
Yeah. Me too. As many as I could find. Even the one that was like a detective. I forgot the name of that, but he was like a vampire detective. It was night.
He was a vampire detective?
Yes. He solved crime at night and worked. Okay. Of course, he worked the night shift with the police. And it was a very interesting series.
It
was a long time ago. So
okay. I've watched the Twilight series. You know what? I go so far back as watching Dark Shadows.
Yes.
Yes.
Dark Shadows.
That's how far back I go. Yes.
Nice.
When I was a kid. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's when I fell in love with the vampire thing. Yeah. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And all that stuff with Kate Beckinsale, that series.
Yes. The Underworld series. Yeah.
Yes, I've watched all of that. I've watched Twilight. You name it, I've watched them all.
Now, have you read Twilight books? I just have to ask.
I never read the books. No, I've just watched the series.
Just watched the movies. Okay.
Yeah, the movies. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
So
I'm a
how do you
vampire paranormal guy? Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. How do you come up with your titles, and does your plot? Your characters come first, or does your plot?
Oh, that's a very good question. I love that question. Yes, because you know why? For me, I cannot start writing until I have my title.
Oh, okay.
For me, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I have to have the title first. Yeah, I can't just start writing and just no. Title first. Title first for me. Yes. Yeah. Like prime example, we were just talking about New Blood. I came up with that first because in my mind, it's new because there aren't too many black vampires.
Right.
So my title, New Blood, and then I go from there. Yeah, that's me. And then once I come up with the title, then it's smooth sailing from there. For me. For me. Yeah, I can just start writing and trying to get stuff done. And I hear people say they talk about writer's block.
Yes.
I'll be honest with you. Maybe I'm strange. I don't know. Or maybe I don't really know what writer's block is. But it has never bothered me. Excuse me. I don't think I've ever had it.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's the first time I've heard that from someone. Yeah.
No, maybe I don't know what it is. Maybe. Yeah.
It doesn't make you strange, though.
Yeah, but maybe I don't know the meaning of writer's block. Maybe I just don't, because when I set out to write, when I say I am going to write, I write. Right. And I just write. And I'll say, well, I'll just write as long as my characters keep me going, because that's how I write. I write based off my characters. Yeah. and I'll just write, because there was a time when I would have to transcribe my writing from a notebook to the computer.
Right.
But now, no, I don't do that anymore. I can just go on the computer and just start typing. Yeah. I could just go there and just start. The story's in my mind. I have my title. See, it's just a process for me. It's just a process. Yeah, I have my title. I know who my characters are, which I do list my characters. And so on and so forth. You know, I do list I make note of all my major or minor characters, and then I'll just start writing, and wherever they take me, they take me.
Yeah, they do. Yeah. They really do.
Yeah.
So, do you have an outline, or you just like wing it?
It's both. I do have an outline, and I'll just make like little short, like little small short notes on my outline, right? And the rest I'll just start winging it. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. But
yeah,
I do.
Sometimes, outlines are good, but I said sometimes outlines are good, but when your characters get involved, you rarely stick to it. Well, at least for me.
Yeah, and you know what, too? And this is why I said, like, earlier with these traditional publishing houses.
Yes.
Just like you said, when you're writing and you get connected to these characters emotionally and you're attached, and then they want to take that away, and once you see what they suggest to you and you're reading it, you're like, no, that doesn't feel right. That's not how I felt when I wrote this right here. No. Yeah, so there's this attachment that I like with being independent, doing my own thing. Yeah, it gives me that authority over my feelings, my emotion, and what I write, and what I do with my characters.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because only you know your characters.
Yes.
And someone editing it, they may have a pretty much different idea of how to make your story better, but honestly, it's your story. These characters are yours.
Yeah. But see, the thing is, you don't mind if they give you suggestions and feedback that you can relate to with certain characters. That's not an issue. But when it gets to certain points in the story and you're like reading that, and then you go to the suggestion that they suggested, and you're like, no, that's not what I was feeling right there. No. I was feeling something else, because I'm a grown man, and there's sometimes when I'm writing and I get so caught up in the characters, yeah, kind of get emotional myself, you know. Like, damn.
Of course. You do. This world is yours that you're writing.
Yeah.
You're so much a part of it that, yeah. That's why I try not to kill off characters. Is that an issue for you?
Well, guess what? Me, I love killing them off. I do. But you see, I build this. What you would say? I build this relationship with the readership and a certain character or certain characters, right? And I want, in my mind, I want the readership to get close to this character. And then, bam. Yeah. Then I just hit them with something. Bam. Yeah.
I know, but if they happen to love that character, they will be upset with you. Why did you kill my character?
I've actually experienced that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They will be
I've
really
actually experienced that.
Yeah.
I did. Yeah. It was
How did you
fair game.
respond to that?
okay, there was this, back then, right? I don't know if it's the right thing to do now, which I haven't done in a while, but back then, I used to put my phone number at the end of the book. My email address, my phone number. Yes, back then I used to. So when I first put out Fair Game, a lady called me, an older woman, and she was like, Anthony Pathfinder? And I was like, yes. And who am I speaking to? And she went on to say, oh, my granddaughter bought me a copy of one of your books. And I was like, oh, really? Okay, wow. Which one? And she said, Fair Game. And I was like, oh, wow, that is so cool. And she said to me, in a nutshell, when I first saw it, when I first started reading, I thought it was going to be about sex and all this other stuff, but you put a twist into it because it's basically about my main character. She was sexually abused by her father after the death of her mother. It was going on. Yes, it was going on before her mother passed, but after she passed, it became more frequent. So that was a storyline behind it, but it took a twist. And she said she thought it was going to be just like, because she actually met this guy who was a pimp and so on and so forth, and she experienced that, right? So she said the twist that I gave it, she was not expecting it, because my character finally confronts her father.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, she confronts him, and she put it on him. Okay, and then the thing that got to her now was that I made, how can I put it without giving it away? Someone very close to her. Yeah. And the lady said to me, she said, why did you do that? She said, I cried. I was like, really? Oh, wow, to myself. Yeah, to myself, I was like, oh, wow, that is so cool. Yeah. And she said, yes. She said that transition, that twist, yeah. And she told me that she loved it, and I was like, oh, thank you very much. So it does work sometimes, to just to hear these things, because she was like, why did you do that? Yeah.
That's how you know you've written a really good book. If someone is so into it that they cry with your characters, they laugh with your characters, and they become emotionally involved with them, just like you did.
That is true.
And readers love that.
And that was from a grandmother.
Yes, see? And I've actually seen that book on Amazon. That's one of the books I was going to ask you about. I was like, well, that looks like a very powerful book. And to see that, whenever you have a twist, it's always a good thing. Because I was not expecting that. And that's a great thing to have.
Correct.
So I commend you on that.
It's one of my favorite books. Thank you very much. Thank you.
So I know that you had a book that I was looking at, and it's the cover that you gave me for the promo, The Seeing Eyes. I'm a sci-fi fan, so tell me a little bit about this world.
Okay. The Seeing Eyes, right? I've always believed that in this vast universe, for us to think that we are the only species, for me, is beyond stupidity. That's just my feeling. And, yeah, that's just my opinion. I believe that there are other species because we live in a vast universe. Okay? And I just decided, well, you know what? All the stuff that we're doing to each other, and this is what I mainly want to get across. It's about what we're doing to each other as you and I speak on the phone, how we treat each other, how we deal with each other. It's just that I switched the characters and brought in a new species to get my point across. Okay? So the Seeing Eyes is basically about a group of beings who came in contact with NASA astronauts who travel space and unknowingly return with the seeing eyes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they unknowingly return back to planet Earth with the seeing eyes. And the seeing eyes have been watching planet Earth for some time. They've been watching for some time. And they see how we deal with each other. And the bottom line is they're watching to see if we destroy each other or they should destroy us.
Oh, okay.
Yes, that's one of the premise behind it. Okay? And what it boils down to is that as they're watching us and the mistreatment that they see with us, if anyone who's aware of current events, they will see the similarities and go, oh, I get that. Oh, I get that. I see that. So it's based on these species who just basically want us to either change the way how we look at things or they will do it for us. And there's a lot of action because it actually takes place in a totally different, the year is 2023, somewhere around there. And it's a totally different, it's a new world. It's a new world order. Everything is different. I had to do a lot of research with NASA, space, because if you're reading it and you see something that doesn't make sense, you're going to say, oh, yeah, that's nonsense. Yeah, it doesn't work like that. Yeah, so I had to do a lot of research, go with NASA, space travel and things of that nature, and just research us as well as people, how we treat each other, who we are, what we are, and how we see things. And here's a catch that I'll give you that I can share with you and your listeners, and that's this. In the story, planet Earth is not, it's a duplicate of the original Earth. Yes.
Now that's different.
Yes, it's a duplicate of the original Earth. And the humans there, us, aren't aware of it. However, the larger society, they are aware of it. They are aware of it. And what they're trying to do is keep the masses of people unwoke.
Yes.
And then the CNI comes in, and they know all this. The CNI comes in, and they know all this, and they confront this leadership on the duplicate Earth and reminds them that this right here. So it's a twist and turn. I mean, I my mind is just crazy. I just write, yeah, my mind is just crazy. I see things differently, and I think that the CNI is something that any sci-fi fan will love.
Right.
Yes.
I know. I was reading some of it. Yes. Because I try to read when I have authors on my show, especially if they're not in my genre, and I try to, because I look at their books and it's interesting, and that's what caught my eye when I saw your book. I was like, okay, because I am a sci-fi buff, and I think it's awesome that you research, because that's the key to a lot, because as authors, you try to make us believe, readers, that this can truly happen, and that's the trick. And from what I've been reading, it's like I can picture this. I can picture this going on. And I can see definitely how the way we treat each other on this earth, and I wouldn't be surprised, at all if someone's watching and seeing how how this world is going, and that there's only a percentage of us that really know what's going on, and the rest of us are like sheep running around. Because like we don't control anything, and they're hurting everybody else, just like sheep, to have them at each other. Like it's benefiting someone to have a certain group of people against another. Someone's benefiting from that. Yeah. So that's, I like that.
Yeah, because it relates.
Yeah, I can relate to that. Most definitely.
Yeah, because for me, it's just like, again, I can speak for myself, and there's no way in this world that I could ever not assume or have some kind of inkling that there are other beings or other life form out there in this vast universe, because planet Earth is just a dot when you compare it to the rest of the universe. And for me to just say to myself that, everything else is just, there's nothing. No. The way I think is just, I just can't fathom that idea. For me personally, I'm speaking for me, not for anyone else. And those are the things that drove me when I wrote this, and I'm working on a part 2 as well. Yeah, I'm working on a sequel, so I think I'm like 30 pages in so far, so yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I would definitely be looking for that one.
All right. Actually, to be honest with you, I will forward you a copy on behalf of me to you.
Thank you. Wow, I appreciate that.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. So it's been a journey, and I have there are 2 books that I just recently released. It's The Seeing Eyes and Rebirth.
Okay, so tell us about Rebirth a little bit. Because that one sounds interesting.
Yeah. Okay. Rebirth is about demonic forces, like demons, stuff like that. Yeah. Demons who are trying to basically control us and bring this rebirth around where they become the dominant, as you would say, let me see how I could put it, the dominant culture.
Right.
Okay. Right, because humans have made a pact with demons, with the devil. Yes, with the devil. They have given up on God, so to speak, and it is now a battle between good and evil, meaning the devil and God. Yes, and society has changed. People no longer have morals. They're godless. They openly practice the devil's work, and there are groups that have accepted this way of life, and then there are others. And my main characters are the ones who are against this. And
okay.
Yes, and they somehow are trying to restore a God society rather than a godless society. And there's a battle between, again, like I said, good and evil, demons, and angels, so to speak. So yeah, so it's what you say. There are secrets that are withheld because I did my research, and I go back to like a time where humans, governments per se, but not so much governments, but Christians, the fathers, the priests, where they have these scrolls, and these scrolls tell them of a time when such and such was happening, such and such was taking place. Yeah, whether it was good or bad, but they have these things. And this story takes place right now. So the godless people, they are at our jobs, in our workplace. Some of them just daily people, your friends and stuff like that. Yeah. And they're operating under this, I guess, slogan of godless society. And a lot of people don't know about it. And hence the fight between good and evil, because you're like working with these people. They're at your job. They're your doctors. They're the salesmen that you go to. You see them every day, but you don't know what's going on. And then at night, they go to these secret places and they worship and do whatever it is that they're trying to do to make believers out of non-believers, so to speak.
To try to recruit. Okay.
So that's called Rebirth. And on the cover, if you look closely, you'll see that there's a guy holding a girl holding her stomach. Yeah, because she's pregnant. Yes, she's actually pregnant, and it says Tales of a New Beginning, because what they're trying to do is, in other words, they're trying to create these new babies, so to speak, new people, so to speak, new generations, so to speak. Yeah. Okay. So they're basically invading us and things like that.
I'm slowly trying to take over. Yeah.
Yeah, my mind gets like that sometimes. A friend of mine told me, he said, dude, I don't know what's wrong with you, man, but you just think way beyond.
Nothing wrong with thinking outside the box. I mean, that's how we write. I mean, we create.
Yeah.
That's what authors do. We create our entire world that sounds believable.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I can go away from this and do Red Rose. Red Rose is a spy thriller. My main character, she's Japanese. She works for the Japanese CIA, and she travels all over the world with her brother, and they're assassinators. They assassinate people.
Oh, they're assassins. Okay.
Yes.
Wow.
They assassinate. Yeah, they travel to all these countries, Saudi Arabia, to Russia, to America, and they're told who to take out and who not to take out and stuff like that. Again, I had to do my research because my main character and her family are from one of the oldest Japanese family from like in the 1800s up to now. So I had to go in there and find that. And the person that's on the cover is actually a friend of mine, and she's actually Japanese.
Oh, nice.
Yes, Red Rose. That's why it's called Red Rose. And she also filled me in on some of those cultural, some of those cultural ways about the Japanese people. Yeah, because you can't just write that stuff and
I know. You have to.
Yeah. So she was there for me, and she gave me her full support. She suggested, this is this is that, that. But that's just to get you to understand where the characters are coming from. That's all. The story's mainly about them being assassins, working for the Japanese CIA and traveling and taking out people.
Right. So covert operations, counterintelligence.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah. I can dig that. Yeah, I can. That's really awesome. How you just, you go from one genre to another, and you do it so effortlessly. It's just that is amazing. Because I don't know a lot of authors that can do that.
No, but you know what it is? It's like you and I were saying earlier when we had that first conversation. It's about a love. When you love what you do, when you love what you do, there aren't any boundaries. I love to write. And who says I have to write in one genre? Nobody.
Exactly. Nobody.
Yeah. So I go from there to wherever whatever I create, I'll just go with it. And then there's one of my titles, Deadly Consequences. Oh, before I get to that, Treasure. I have a title, Treasure. This is also one of my favorites as well. It's about a family. Yeah, it's about a family who passed for white during the Reconstruction period. A black family who passed for white during the Reconstruction period. And my main character, yes, and my main character, her name is Treasure.
Oh, wow, that's a great name.
Right. Yes, her name is Treasure, hence the title of the book. And she finds out after years of living as a white woman, her family living white, she finds out that they're actually black folks. And she confronts the family, and all hell breaks loose.
Ah,
yeah,
I can see that. Wow.
Yeah, because there's a scene that I'll share with you where her father would take her. This is in Alabama. Her father would take her to the black side of town, and she always believed that he was just going there to help the blacks out, so to speak. But what he was doing, he was visiting his black side of the family.
Family.
Because they knew. Yeah. But as a little girl, she had no idea or concept of what was going on. She thought, oh, my dad is just helping these folks out. And the black folks on that side of the track, they knew. But on the opposite side of the track with the white folks, they didn't know. Yeah. So when she confronts the family, again, all hell breaks loose, and the story ends in 1984. So the story goes through the 20s, the 30s, the civil rights movement, and all that stuff.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Wow.
It wasn't anything like in the 1800s or stuff like that. No.
Right.
It's just that the family.
More like the Jim Crow era?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
I touch all that stuff. So I had to find places. If you're reading it, you would say, oh yes, that did take place during that time. It's just that I created characters and put them in that time period.
In those time periods.
Nice. Yeah, that's all I did. Yeah, that's all I did. And Treasure confronts the family, and trouble. She starts a lot of trouble. Yeah, good trouble.
Good trouble. She questions her identity, and she may also not be happy that she finds out she's black. So, I mean, I haven't read it, but I'm just guessing she has all kinds of emotions about this.
Well, I won't say anything.
Yes. I'm just speculating. I haven't read it, but, it's one of those things like that. That should be a movie. It's like the first thing I see.
I would love to. Yeah, I would love to, because I see these, like I was watching Tyler Perry's, I think it was The Jazz Man, and I'm looking at that, and I'm like, there are a lot of similarities, because my book Treasure is about a family who passed, right, and one of the main characters in The Jazz Man that got this young fella killed, her mother. Yes,
I saw that.
They passed. Yeah.
I saw that. It was actually a pretty good movie. It really was.
Yes, it was. I enjoyed it. Yes.
But I was sad on the part. Yeah, I won't say if those who haven't seen it, but I did cry on that part, because it's like,
yes. But guess what? Sometimes you have to do that. You have to do that. Yeah. Yeah. So for me, it was like, oh wow! As I'm like watching it, I'm seeing similarities from Treasure. Yeah. Yeah. So it's something. it's something that happened more frequently
than we know about, than we realize.
Yeah. So, that was another genre. That was something that I felt like I had to do it. And to be honest with you, all these things that I've shared with you and the listeners are things that were just on my mind. They were just on my mind, and I just wrote about them. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Wow, I've enjoyed speaking with you, and I'm sure our listeners have enjoyed listening. You have a wonderful body of work. It's just amazing how your mind just goes to different places, and you don't limit yourself. That is amazing.
No. One of my favorite quotes is never stop believing.
Yes. That's one of my favorite songs, actually. I do. My motto, don't stop believing. I love that. I just love to write. I don't know what it is. I just love to write. I just like to tell stories. In one of my other titles, it's called Untold Tales. It's a book of short stories. So there are a number of stories in there. That's also out as well. Yeah, it touches on different aspects of people's lives and things like that. So it's pretty. There's something in there for somebody, for everybody, basically. Yeah. I'm looking at your body of work. Yeah, you've got something for just about everybody here, in all of your books. I mean, that's when I went to look you. I was like, okay, this guy's going to be on the show. Let me see what's going on. So I was like, wow, it really, you have done some amazing writing. And now talking with you, I can, I get it. It's like you have
being
no
that I'm
limitations.
Jamaican, I had to. Being that I'm Jamaican, I had to put that Jamaican flavor in as well with Deadly Consequences and Unleash. Yeah.
Okay. So I want you to tell my listeners where they can find you on social media and your website.
I can be found at anthonypathfinder.com. That is my site. And you can also find me on Facebook, author Anthony Pathfinder, and the same on Instagram, author Anthony Pathfinder.
Nice. And you also have your email, right?
Huh?
You also have your email.
Yes,
right?
And my email is author@anthonypathfinder@gmail.com.
Nice. And you were saying something else. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Okay. Yes. My titles can be found. You can find them on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, iTunes. And I'm trying to, I'm in the works to expand. So, and one thing I would like to share with you before I go is I just received the LLC for a company that I started.
Nice.
East South Publishing, East South.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
East
nice.
South Publishing, all one word. And it's
so
not...
you're an entrepreneur on top of it. That's great.
Yes, and to be honest with you, I will be looking for folks in the near future because this is going to it's a publishing house, and I am going to need a list of people, so I may touch base with you again. Okay,
I can definitely do that.
Yeah.
And so thank you for coming on the show. We have a few seconds left that I'm glad you came, and I'm glad that you shared with us your body of work. And I want all my listeners to say thank you for listening, and I will be back again next Thursday.
All right. Thank you for having me.
You have been listening to the Mahogany Says Show with your host, Mahogany Silverring, on Blog Talk Radio, mahoganysilverring.net. Thank you, and good night.